Back here on Inside Wrestling Radio with Brodie Chase, a good friend of mine. He's in doing an interview with us, and he's telling us a little bit about his history. And when we left off, we were talking about his time in Memphis, working with the Lawlers, and living with Mark Callis, who turned out to be the Undertaker later in life. Brodie, how long were you out there working in Memphis?
I was probably there about 6 months, and I actually only lived with the Undertaker about 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if that qualifies, but I consider it more spent the night.
Right.
I don't want to give nobody the wrong impression.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, we lived out of our cars. All
Yeah,
did.
exactly.
At one time or another, we all lived out of our cars.
That's exactly right.
So I understand. And so you left Memphis and what? Came back, joined back up with TBS?
Yes. Came back home.
Was there some money issues, or just didn't want making what you thought you was?
There was a lot of money issues, and most of them was the lower end of not making what you thought you were going to make.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you came back and inked a deal with Turner.
Well, Cornette helped me. He actually talked to me about coming back, and he was going to let Mike and I come in as the Stray Cats and work Hart.
Okay.
And we were going to come in and do the Stray Cats versus the Midnight Express, and they were actually going to give us a little push.
Push meaning they were going to
actually elevate us up to wrestling
Gotcha.
Believability factor that we actually had a chance.
Sure.
And we got down there, and there was too many cooks, and there was too many people in charge, and in the middle of us discussing what time factor we had in the match, it got canned. The match got cut. And I actually had a single match over on another spot, and Mike had a match with Buzz Sawyer, which was very difficult.
I'm sure, yeah.
So then that didn't work out at all, so then I got to go to Japan.
Tell us about Japan. How did that come about? Who did you work for?
Japan was great. I always wanted to go. I love that part of the world.
Sure.
But it's quite the culture shock. Now, it's real nice if you're blonde-haired and blue-eyed like I am and a little over 6 feet tall.
Right, yeah.
So you're quite popular over there because people notice you a good bit.
Yeah, because you stand up head and shoulders above most of the population.
And I'm quite fond of that part of the world.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed my time over there.
As what I have been.
But I tell you what people don't understand is the Japanese wrestlers actually have a huge problem with the American wrestlers. There's the ego factor there, and it is very stiff and very hard work.
Yeah.
And you know how we buy boots as light as we can so we can move as quick as we can.
Sure, yeah.
When you go to Japan, you want the heaviest, hardest boots you can have. So when you kick somebody, they know they've been
Yeah, because those kicks are for real.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
all kicks are real.
Well, of course, of course. But that's where that strong style, so-called, it originated from was the Japanese wrestlers.
Oh, yes.
And
it was a fight. Every night was a fight.
Yeah. So who were you working for over there?
Started out with Baba. I worked 6 weeks with Baba, then went
John
back
Baba,
and went 6 weeks with Inoki.
Yeah, and now I know that's like their national pastime over there. What kind of crowds were you working in front of?
Oh, they were full house. I never got a direct read on how many people were there because the numbers don't translate well, and people that you talk to can't quantify what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
I want to know if it's full with 12,000 or 10,000 or 20,000.
Yeah, we just said we got a full house.
Full house.
That's all you need to know. Full house.
And the fans are so different. It's like watching a movie for them. They clap and applaud, but they never stand and cheer.
Now that's got to be shocking to you because the way we're trained here to wrestle is to work the crowd, get the fans into it. If you're not getting the crowd into it, you're not doing your job. And so how do you, as a classically, quote unquote classically trained wrestler, how do you justify that in your mind by just not having that reaction there? I mean, how do you gauge what you're doing in the ring?
The first 3 nights were horrible. I thought they just hated me because I was trying to work the crowd and they were just booing me. I mean, and a boo is just that's the noise you would hear.
Like just a dull groan.
Right.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize they're booing you in their terms,
Right.
Is by not acknowledging you, they're booing you.
Yeah.
And the guy was just beating the crap out of me. And I'm trying to work, light and make it look believable and try to do everything I could to get over. And if I wasn't blonde hair and blue eyed, I would have been fired probably the first week. Then by the 4th night, the guy made me mad. And we actually got into a fight in the ring. And I started getting these claps.
Really?
And after the match, everybody come up to it. Great match, man. The crowd was into it.
Yeah.
What? So then it became legit. It's who's the most powerful.
Yeah.
Like a shoulder tackle, simple shoulder tackle, which now we hit hard. But you and I have always done that. When we take a shoulder tackle or give a shoulder tackle, we want to knock the guy down.
Right.
But I actually try to knock him out of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted him to hit the first row.
And what a lot of people don't understand here in America is everything. It looks it looks like it hurts, but that's just the skill that we have working against each other. But we never. In 20 years, I've never hurt anybody. Never hurt a soul, and I know you haven't either. But over there, like you said, it's almost a fight.
Yes.
In the ring to get over the fact of what you're doing, and that's just had to be a big hard transition.
And see, they don't throw a lot of punches. They throw forearms and chops, so that's stiff as hard as you can do it. The back kicks are stiff. A drop kick was, buddy, you fixing to catch it. I mean,
really?
It's coming. Yeah. Oh yeah. You could catch your teeth after you hit the mat. They just rain down, and you just pick them up and keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stick them in your boots. But but it was so tough. But once they got into it and got into your character, it was great.
Yeah.
Because just the simple little clap was like a standing ovation for you.
In America, it would be.
Yes.
And
once I got that, it was great.
Yeah. And you were over there, you said, what, a total of 12 weeks?
12 weeks.
Yeah, and they put you up, took care of you and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you came back home, did you feel like you had to transfer back into the so-called American style of wrestling and kind of relearn what to do to get your fans back into it in the way that we do it here?
Well, I actually thought coming back that I wouldn't ever wrestle in America again. I thought I would just go and do these 6-week tours because you can make enough in 6 weeks to cover half a year.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. People say, well, where did Vader go and where did Stan Hansen go? They made a career in Japan and never had to come back.
Well, Ted DiBiase was the first guy I remember making big money. He made $12,000 a week. And he would go over there for 6 weeks and then come home, and then he might not work for 6 months.
Yeah.
And go back and do 6 weeks at $12,000 a week.
Yeah.
So that's good money.
That's crazy money.
Yeah.
And then the thing they say too is that the Japanese fans love their heel wrestlers. Heels meaning bad guys.
Well, there wasn't really good guys and bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were strong guys and other guys.
Gotcha.
That's it. And the
so
older
if you were believable, you were over.
Right.
Yeah.
And now the older guys were looked at with such relevance that it was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It was such respect.
Yeah.
It wasn't, oh, God, get out of the ring, old man.
And you're talking about the Hansons and the Vaders and all those
Inoki.
guys. Inoki, yeah. Those guys had just
the
ultimate
older
respect.
Japanese guys that were so over with their character had been wrestling for so many years. The crowd just ate them up.
Yeah.
And nobody better not kick them.
Right. Yeah.
You get beat in the parking lot.
By him and the fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you came back to America, you went back to work with Turner again, or what?
Well,
from that point?
I went into the real world for a little while.
Okay.
I got a real good managerial position with a big company and wanted benefits and steady employment. And I kind of got out for a while. As a matter of fact, you and Mickey Free kind of got me back in.
Yeah.
In '96. I had made up my mind I didn't want to do it anymore, and we started back doing that little TV show, and it kind of got back from there.
Yeah. We met you, that I recall, in 1989, in a place up in North Carolina we were working, and we're going to go into that a little bit, how you and I met and some of our history, and I want to bring it up to a little bit of date. In fact, we may have to hold you over for another. Can you think you make a trip down here next week and do this thing again?
Yeah,
we might end up doing that if we don't cover everything we want to cover in this interview. But we want to pick up where you and I met and some of the things that we've done down the road, and how I was basically a Brodie Chase mark for several years there back in the day, and we'll talk about that when we get back.
You actually played Brodie one night. I remember that.
Yeah, I sure did. And that was a thrill for me, as a matter of fact. But we got Brodie Chase here in with us in studio on Inside Wrestling Radio, and we'll be right back after these messages.